Hello champions, how are you doing? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be discussing yet another lean management idea. Some people call this tool, but I call this idea and you will know why I do that. So if you're a trader or a manufacturer, and if you're somebody who's looking to improve profitability, well, I'm sure every one of you are looking for that, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to be discussing a lean management idea. I call it idea. And it's called Just in Time. Keep watching. Welcome back champions. My name is Hardik Harsora and I make videos to help your business grow. Well, if you think what I say makes sense and if you feel a conversation with me can help you troubleshoot some of your business problems, then all you need to do is go on to my website, scroll a little down, you will see relevant areas that you may have problems in, click on them, answer a few very basic questions, and there you will be able to book a free one-time one-on-one conversation call with me. So profitability. Well, profitability formula is turnover minus cost, right? You do your turnover, you minus all your costs, and what is left is called your profitability, which goes to say that if you have to increase your profitability, there are two things that you must do. Either increase your turnover without increasing the cost, or reduce the cost but without impacting your turnover a lot. Now, if you are able to either reduce your cost or increase your turnover without impacting each other, you will end up positively impacting your profitability. For this video, we are going to be talking about one lean idea called Just in Time, which helps you reduce your cost. The cost that you incur today because of mismanagement or leakages, that cost is going to get arrested if you implement this idea called Just in Time. So Just in Time was developed and used to manage inventory. Now inventory, we all will agree as a trader or a manufacturer, is a very big cost. Let's understand inventory in a little more detail. Well, inventory is anything that you have in your factory. Technically, even your phone or which is lying on your table or a pen that you write with, the stationery that you have, all of it is inventory. But for the scope of this video, we are going to be taking the inventory of the products, raw materials, etc. that you consider giving to your customers. So inventory are at several stages and it's important for us to understand each of these stages. First is the inventory of raw material, which is all the ingredients that you use. Now, if you're a trader, you probably don't have the raw material inventory. Then comes the second stage, which is inventory of work in progress, which means everything that is in progress. It's in the machine, it's getting made or it's getting assembled. All of that is inventory work in progress. Then comes inventory in your store, which means all the inventory that is finished product, which is lying in your store for somebody to order so that you can dispatch it to the customer. That's your store inventory, right? And then comes inventory in process. So assuming you do packaging only when the order has arrived, or if you do polishing, or if you put everything in one box, which is packaging again, all of that is called inventory in process. Even the inventory which is in transit is your inventory unless the customer signs and says, yes, I've received it and now it's mine. Any damages that happen in the transit is your responsibility unless the contract is otherwise. So all of those kind of things also fall in your inventory. Now, why it's important to understand these stages? Because the cost of your inventory continues to increase as it moves from the production or from the raw material to the production, from the production to the inventory of finished goods in your warehouse to the inventory in transit. Now, why does this happen? It happens because in each stage you are adding some value. Like for example, if I have to cook chicken and I have all the masalas by itself is not a lot of value. I'm not going to eat raw masalas, right? But the moment I put those ingredients in a dish and make a dish which is consumable, that dish adds another value. So obviously the cost of that dish, which is a combination of all masalas, together is far higher because the value is far higher than all the masalas and all the ingredients in its individual capacity, right? So what you got to do is manage this cost effectively. Now let's understand the different cost buckets that get into the play of inventory and the ones that we got to control. Because I'm talking about cost, it's important for you to even understand what are the different costs. So any inventory and any stage that is there in your business, all the stages that we discussed, would have the following cost. Number one cost of real estate, which is where you place the inventory. If it is in the warehouse, then the cost of the warehouse. Even if this warehouse is owned by you, imagine this could suddenly from a cost center become a profit center if you reduce your inventory and therefore the utilization of your warehouse and give that portion of your warehouse on rent. It will produce revenue for you. So even if it is owned, you should take it as a cost if you are utilizing it. Okay. The second thing is the cost of electricity or any consumables you use to make sure your warehouse is managed well. That is also a cost. If you did not have a warehouse or did not have the warehouse of the size that you have, you would reduce on that cost. Cost of labor, which is the number of people that you have in your system who would take things out of the truck when it arrives, would place it on the racks, will bring it down from the racks, would do the cleaning, etc. All of these labors are required because you have a warehouse and a warehouse of that capacity. Cost of management. If you have a big warehouse and you are systematic entrepreneur, which I'm sure you are because otherwise you wouldn't see this video. The very fact that you are systematic and the very fact that you are wanting to improve is why you are watching this video. Which means that there will be investments that you must have made on employing different practices of inventory management or manufacturing, right? All of that costs you're incurring, like for example, a software to manage your inventory or the practice of tallying your inventory every now and then is an activity that is a cost, right? Because if that activity would not have been there, the same staff, the same resources or the same money could have been used to do something else. Besides all of this cost, there is one very big cost, and that's your capital cost, which is all the investment that you've made in purchasing that particular product. If you would not have purchased to that quantum, you would have saved a little bit of your capital cost, which otherwise could have got invested in marketing, which then would probably bring you sales proactively. But without getting too much into that cost, these are the few cost buckets that we need to think of and reduce. Just in time helps you reduce on all of these cost buckets. It just depends on how severely or how tightly you apply the just in time concept. So how do you go about applying just in time? Let's start from inventory. Okay. So how do you make your purchase decision? Just in time, like the word itself says, just in time, which means order only when it's like about time for you to order. Now that does not mean that if you get an order today, then order today only. No, obviously there is a formula to arrive at what the purchase is, and then you got to stick to that purchase. It should not go beyond that benchmark of the formula. So what's the formula? The formula of just in time purchase is the time of the forecasted sale. Let's say March 1st is the time when you forecasted 100 units of a particular product that you trade on or you manufacture, minus the production time. So let's say you take 1 month to produce 100 units, which means if you have to deliver on 1st of March, you will have to start your production on 1st of Feb. Okay. Now, minus the lead time or the turnaround time for your supplier to provide you raw material, which means that let's say that's 1 month again. So you got to place an order with your supplier on 1st of Jan. So let's say you place an order with your supplier on 1st of Jan, 31st of Jan is when you receive the order, 1st of Feb when you start production, 28th of Feb is when you finish your production, and 1st of March is when it goes dispatch. Now, all of us know that things don't happen smoothly the way I just narrated, right? There are going to be bumps. So these bumps are taken care of by adding a little bit of buffer time. So let's say 15 days of buffer time is what gets added. So technically the formula is your sales forecasted time minus the production time minus the lead time for supply minus the buffer time. Now this buffer time is where the problem really is. If our sales forecasting is not right, so let's say instead of 1st of March, the order ends up coming on the 31st of March, which is 1 month of delay, or the 1st of April. Suddenly, we will have the raw material accumulated for 1 extra month. And all of those cost buckets that we discussed get applied there. But guess what? This cost is not shown in the balance sheet or your profit and loss or your cash flow statement. So we never pay attention to this, but this cost is definitely there. Now, if your sales forecast is not right, you need to correct that. If your sales forecast is not right, it will impact the buffer time, which means cost to you. So how do you correct that? Without getting into too much technicalities, you only got to correct that by going behind customers who frequently order for your products and the quantities at which they order is more or less the same. The second thing that happens is all the stages after the sales forecasting, which is your production time, your supply time from your vendor, all of that. So let's look at the supply side now. The supply side, what if your supplier does not give you the raw material on time? You've forecasted very well, but the supply side is weak. Then what happens? Well, if the supply side is weak, you can do the following improvements. Number one, look out for a supplier who has a large capacity and is not completely utilized. So let's say he can make 1 million units of what you want, but only 50% of that is utilized. Now that supplier will be willing to give you an order just in case if it happens very quickly. So even if you give the supplier 1 month of time, he will be able to furnish an extra couple of orders. So you don't really need to stock it up to feel secured, because you know that if you order just 1 month before, things can fall out because of a supplier not having the capacity. The second thing, which is a no-brainer, is look out for a supplier which is near you. Why? Because the more the supplier is near you, the less are the chances of transit problem, which means that the person was not able to travel on time or got stuck somewhere, or in coronavirus, there was a lockdown somewhere in between, so the truck could not come in. You won't have problems like that. It's always wise to set up a factory where the raw materials are available. In fact, that's one of the reasons why China is successful, because for every product, they've got like cities. A city that is self-contained. It has everything that you need to produce the material that they do. The third thing that you could do is play around with the contract smartly. So what do? You tell your supplier that I am going to buy from you an X number of quantities, but within a year's time. Okay, plus or minus whatever. Okay. Now what this will mean? The supplier knows that he has got to stock and be ready anytime you place an order. And as long as the yearly quantities are matched, you guys are good to go. Now what is happening by doing this is your supplier is stocking things for you. You aren't. So you are not leaking money by stocking things in advance and then only realizing, oh, the sale didn't happen. It did not happen in March, it happened in April. Then you're wasting that 1 month. But in this case, when you have the contract like that 1 month you are not storing and investing money in having that warehouse, your supplier is. The fourth thing that you may want to do is simply increase the number of suppliers. See, look, when you're tightening how soon you order, you're technically giving yourself that possibility of technically risking, if the supplier does not end up giving it to you on time, then you may risk the order. So have multiple suppliers. Now that brings me to the fifth point, because it's related to the fourth one. Have the right kind of suppliers. Don't have a lot of them who are all fulfilled, their capacities are great. Profile them. When you profile them, they should be suppliers willing to compete for you, which means that assuming 1 out of 5 suppliers is not in the position or to give you the products, the other 4 want to get into your good books. They are looking at you as one of their premium customers. So profile suppliers that way and do these 5 things. You may choose 1 or 2, or you may choose all 5 in various combinations, but improve your supply. If you improve your supply, automatically the buffer time required will be less. The time that you will need to store your raw material in your warehouse will also be significantly less. And if that is less, your warehouse requirement is less, your labor to manage that warehouse is less, your technology requirement is less, your cost is less, and your turnover, that remains the same or increase, which means you're making more money. So now that we've spoken about correcting your sales forecast, which is one factor, we've also spoken about correcting your supply, which is a second factor. Let's talk about correcting your production line, which means that what if there is a downtime in your production line? What if the machines fail? Well, there are 4 things that can go wrong in your production line. Number 1, like I said, machine failure. Your machine failed because it's not maintained really well. So have a maintenance process. The second thing that can go wrong with your production setup is people. Chances are your people may go out, people may resign, people may not work as per their capacity. Well, have good people management practices. Have an org chart so that you can help people see that they will grow if they perform. Have a scorecard so that they get incentivized, they get paid more when they do better than what their regular job demands them to do. The third thing that could go wrong is the pace at which work is done. You probably are not estimating the time it takes to do each activity right. And if that's the case, you have bottlenecks appearing in your manufacturing process. If you want me to do a detailed video on how to identify these bottlenecks and how to go about correcting them, mention it in the comment box and I will do a video on bottlenecks in specific. So get your sales forecast right, get your suppliers right, and get your production line right. Even if your inventory cost reduces by 10%, that's a handsome amount that you could reinvest in marketing to get and fuel your growth. So this was just in time, a lean management concept which you can simply apply. If you like this video, hit a big fat thumbs up. Share it with all the traders, manufacturers, your vendors that you are working with, and help them improve their business as well. If you've not subscribed to this channel, hit the subscribe button and show your love. I will be very, very happy to have you on my subscriber list. Until we meet next time, keep learning, keep implementing, and all you lovely folks, keep propelling.